Hey guys, welcome to the video. Thanks for joining today. I wanted to talk about the very somewhat confusing world of running shoe foams. Until about probably 8 to 10 years ago, really in the last 5 years, there's been an explosion of different foams being used. Prior to that, for probably the previous 30 years before that, it was all EVA foams, which have some bounce, pretty good longevity, but they do decline in effectiveness over time. They have a few issues, like if it gets cold outside, they definitely get hard and lose their resilience. But anyway, I just want to talk some about the different foams that are out there, the foam families. I'm actually using information from an article. There's a website called Runrepeat.com, which is wonderful. They always do a lot of testing on different shoes where they cut them in half, is what they're famous for. And and they test the bounce and the resilience and the actual stack heights and weight. Anyway, very scientific approach to different shoes. They put out an article in October of 2025 on running shoe foams, and I'll put the link down below because it's a very fascinating article to read. And I'm taking a lot of my information from there. EVA has been around for 30 years. It's known for a low energy return, high durability. It does last a long time, and it's low cost to produce. Now there's supercritical EVAs that increase the energy return to probably mid. It lowers the durability to middle, and the cost becomes middle. One of the first brands that became famous for using a supercritical EVA was, and they were one of the first ones to use a different type of foam, was actually Skechers when they came out with their Hyperburst midsoles. It was an EVA foam, but it was supercritical in that they were injecting gas in there to give it more propulsion. They still use that in a lot of their shoes, though they have gone in a few of their top-end race shoes to using an ATPU. Next, there's polyolefin elastomer, or POE. The only brand that I know is using that right now is Ultra. They're using it in their P35 foams. It definitely increased their energy return from, like, EVA is normally in the 30s as far as rebound. The POE is more like in the 60s as far as energy return. So it's known for a mid-level energy return, mid-level durability, and a mid-level cost. But definite improvement over EVA in most ways. You can get polyurethane midsoles. I'm not sure who really is doing that right now. They have a mid-level of energy return, very high durability, and a mid-level cost. TPU is a thermoplastic polyurethane, mid-energy return, high durability, and middle cost. Now there's a lot of brands that are using this at TPU, and they'll blend it. There are some TPU foams. There's some TPU that is supercritical that is out there from different brands. And then there are blends. Like I know Topo in their Zip Foam is actually using an EVA and blending it with TPU, which gives it a little extra bounce and keeps the durability really high. TPE, and we'll often see that as ETPE, or anyway, that's a thermoplastic elastomer. It's mid-energy return, mid-durability, and mid-cost. So it's higher cost than EVA, little lower durability, but it definitely has more energy return. One of the things that came out that probably in the late 2000s, 2017, 2018, with the Nike Alpha Fly and those shoes, was the PIBA foams, the polyether block amide. Anyway, PIBA is still very popular. It's used quite a bit. It is known for really high energy return, mid durability, but it is a high cost foam to produce. So you still see that in a lot of shoes, and It has just gotten down to the point where it's filtering down into some of the daily trainers. It was pretty much all in top-end race shoes. And you will also see places where, like the new Brooks amp is doing a blend of EVA for the durability, and then they're blending in PEBA or a PEBA type foam, so it has more bounce, and then you're keeping the EVA for durability. But all these foams you're going to see in different combinations. Sometimes they're blending them. They'll use different levels of supercritical foam. They'll either blow it up more or less. They'll blend the different foams together to get different ones. So it's really hard to keep track of exactly what's happening. ATPU foam is one of the new hot foams that's out there. It is known for high energy return, high durability, but it does cost quite a bit. That foam is being used in, like ASICs use it for their FF Turbo Square, and their FF Leap that goes in some of their race shoes. Going back to PEBA, Brooks DNA Gold is a PEBA foam. Kiprung uses the PEBA foam. Li Ning uses, their boom foam is PEBA or PBAX foam, which PBAX is really just the initial company that made PEBA foam. It's produced by one particular provider, whereas PEBA is usually basically the compound, but it's not a proprietary name. So more people are using PEBA than PBAX, but they're very similar foams. Anyway, Saucony uses the PBAX in their Power Run PB or Power Run HG foams. One of the last foams that I hadn't talked about is TPEE, which is thermoplastic polyester elastomer. TPEE is known as a really lightweight, bouncy foam that has just come out in the past few years and become popular. It is in, Saucony has it in their Incredi-Run, but they really haven't used it very massively or exclusively in a shoe yet. It's used by Adidas in their Light Strike Pro, so their race foams, and in the Evo SL, it uses the TPE foam, and there's some other brands starting to use that foam more. But anyway, that's a rundown of just the basic foams that are out there. You'll also go down and there'll be different combinations of foams that are not considered super foams that are combining with EVA foams. So still probably 80 to 90% of the shoes sold are EVA-based foams, but there are getting to be more and more variety of super foams. One of the advantages to super foams is normally EVA foams, if it gets really cold, like if you put them in a freezer, they're going to lose a lot. They're going to become really hard and not have very much rebound at all. Whereas most of the super foams you put in there, and their performance drops by less than 10%. However, a lot of the super foams, people say they go flatter sooner, so they're going to lose their bounce over time. Also, based on tests that they did on this site, the super foams real often take longer to recover after a run. EVA, you're pretty well back to the same baseline after a day, so it's less necessary to rotate shoes because your foam is bouncing back a little quicker, whereas a lot of these super foams plan on it taking 2 or 3 days for it to bounce back after an effort. So that's why rotating shoes becomes even bigger, and even one of their recommendations on Runrepeat is for your race shoes, let them sit there for like 5 days before you do your race if you want your maximum performance. Anyway, it's very interesting, and the world of foams is definitely changing very quickly. And like I said, they're blending them all different ways. There'll probably be some other compounds out there, but I just wanted to go through some of the basic foam types that are out there, and I will put a link down to the Runrepeat article that I think is great. It'll be down in the description. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the thumbs up, the like button. If you're interested in any more of my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. And other than that, I hope you're having a wonderful day. And keep moving.